It's like Sanderson sisters.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, to Friends of Disney, where we are friends who talk about Disney.
Welcome, friends.
Today we are
Revisiting.
revisiting Aruna's Magic, and we're on episode 2.
Dope.
If you haven't watched the episode where we talked about the first episode, go check it out now before you watch this one.
Spoilers, I will not be in that episode.
So
Yeah.
why?
Sorry, I had baby things come up.
For those who have seen the first episode or don't know what the show is exactly, it is an international Disney TV show that takes place in Rio de Janeiro. So
It was Portuguese.
yeah, the primary language for the show is Portuguese.
Which is really cool.
Yes.
Sorry.
So
It's okay.
So a lot of us watching this show is a lot of confusion, which if you saw the first episode, again, please check it out. And you saw how confused me and Jonelle
I
were
feel like
watching this show.
Vampire Diaries and Sanderson sisters.
Pretty much.
Which is going to go on to the next subject of this episode, Sanderson sisters.
Well, hold on a second. Megan wasn't with us for the first episode, and she didn't actually watch the first episode when we recorded it. We recorded for the first episode of Aruna's Magic. So I want to get your quick inputs. Like, what are your thoughts on the first episode and on the show on a very general level before we get into this episode?
Okay, so this is what I was told about the show before Sean and I watched it. Sorry. I'm leaning over because baby's like kicking, so I'm just like gotta overcompensate.
I just don't want you too close to the mic.
Sean was like, okay, so we're gonna have to watch this episode like 3 times for you to understand what's going on. And it's about magic. And I was like, that's all you're gonna give me? And he's like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched it once, and I was like, okay, so like this makes sense. And he was like, okay, can you explain the plot to me? I actually watch a lot of like international shows when I'm not watching shows with Sean. So it was easier for me to keep up. And I thought it was really good. I thought it was interesting. There are some things where I'm like, oh, that's totally a cultural thing, and I don't understand it. Like the young patrons, I'm guessing it's like a honors society, valedictorian sort of thing, but like instead of like, but like you can.
It was like a quiz bowl.
Quiz bowl.
It was like an elitist, like smart kid thing.
Yeah.
I caught that, but like I didn't understand like how do I put this, like the end goal. Does that make sense? Because in like the American school systems, valedictorian just means like you get like a bunch of like in every class you get an A, from my understanding. I was not valedictorian, and
I have no clue. I just knew that there's people who are valedictorians, and I'm like, cool.
The valedictorian is the person that has the highest GPA out of the entire class.
I mean, I had 3 in my class.
Yeah, my class I think had 4.
So like it wasn't.
Yeah, Rogers had a few. I think we had like 5.
Yeah, but those are the people. It means they just tied for highest.
Shout out to my friend Jennifer, who was one of those valedictorians. I'm very proud of you, and I know you do not watch this podcast.
So yeah, so you liked the first.
I thought it was really good. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I would have probably watched this show by myself if Friends of Disney tonight.
Okay, watch Intertwined by yourself then. It's another non-English Disney show.
Well, guess what I will be doing this weekend.
Well, and before we get into the second episode, I just want to remind everyone to please subscribe to our channel and
That sounds
also
Smash that like button and the subscribe button and click the notification bell.
And leave a comment telling us what your favorite TV show is.
Yes, please comment, and also please leave nice comments because.
But also please check out our Patreon too to be a member and be able to help put input into what we watch.
And we have an exclusive art piece for our Patreon subscribers.
Yes. And so there are benefits, just a little bit amount to help support us so we can grow this podcast and provide more content.
Also
for
follow
you
us on
guys.
Instagram and TikTok.
Yes. So
We'll
That
put all the links down in the description down below.
that being said, Jonelle, you want to take us through the episode?
All right.
Jonelle and Megan.
Sanderson Sisters 2.0.
I love how you thought Sanderson. I was thinking the Schuyler sisters. So whenever they walked, I was just like, duh, duh, Angelica, duh, duh, and Liza, and not Peggy. So
But it was like in the 1700s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it opened up back in the 1700s,
With
right
the
before the witch hunt on the witches.
Yeah, with the three witches there. And then they were talking.
With this one of the guardian witches, like those main
there was me
witches.
like 4, but like only 3 survived.
Yeah.
One of the guardian witches, her name is like Lachifa.
Yeah.
And it's pronounced, they pronounce it like Lachifa, but
So I
it's
actually watched the wrong movie, and so I like watched the episode very last minute, and I watched it with no sound, so I was like reading the entire time.
yeah, it's
I'm
how
good in character names.
if you try to like say how it looks like Latifa, but they pronounce it in the show like Lachifa. You see her like making some kind of like potion or whatever for one of the people in her clan.
And their whole thing this throughout is they're looking for a wild mugwort.
We'll get into that.
But like even during at the beginning of the
She had wild mugwort there.
I just kept reading that word throughout. Sorry, I was
Yes.
reading it the whole time. And then
But
did they eventually then like travel into the future?
no.
We'll get there.
No, so if you remember from the first episode, there was the witch hunt and the 3 remaining guardian witches transformed themselves into a tree
Oh yeah.
with
That's
Aruna's magic. And then and where the first episode left off was we saw Mima, the main character, in the park with that very same tree, and she's upset because she like messed up the young patrons thing.
And then she like totally vomit everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she gets bullied on that in
and
this
it ended
episode.
and it ended with that tree glowing, which is right where the second episode picks up, where we see it glowing and we see the tree goes away and the 3 guardian witches are now back in the 21st century.
Yeah.
300 years later.
Yeah. And then Mima is there and they think she is one of like the
They think she's like, yeah, one of like the people like hunting the witches and stuff.
Yeah.
She was wearing
a red hoodie. Yeah. And then how did they get her phone again? They got her phone.
She dropped
She
it.
was scared, terrified, and they were very intense with Mima. And so she dropped her phone and like ran away.
Also, shout out to Ariel this whole like time because he's like trying to get in touch with her and being like the best friend ever. And I so hope they don't get together and they're just like buddies
Yes.
for the rest of the season.
And this is what
girls and boys can be friends.
I was like, this is what made me think of Sanderson Sisters immediately. They're just like, oh, what is this blacksmith device?
Right? Yeah, so Mima drops her phone and like they're like, what the hell is this device? What blacksmith made this?
Yeah.
And like Ariel's trying to like call, they're like, it's doing something.
Message.
I love their reactions, and Mima's reaction to losing her phone is like nothing.
Yeah.
Because if it was me who lost my cell phone, I would have come home crying to Sean and be like, I lost my phone. I can't find it.
And then Ariel.
Ariel.
Yes, Ariel.
I know, I'm sorry, I just feel like doing
You have to stay it like Sebastian. Ariel, the human world is a mess.
But he then goes into the witches that she had encountered and explains how there's the water bloodline, the herb bloodline, and we're pretty sure that she's a part of the mineral bloodline.
No.
The heart blood.
The heart bloodline.
Well, I was just reading, okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
this is we're like chatting about it, so we're all on the same page because I know that international
so
rules can be a little more tricky.
So yeah, she goes to talk to Ariel about whatever happened, and Ariel has this book that he has. I think he made it himself of like, because he's very like he's really into the lore around the witches
Yes,
and
he's very
everything.
invested.
Very invested.
He
And
just finds it a very interesting topic. So this is like his hobby, is like looking this up.
It'd be like the equivalent of me being like, Sean, look at these crystals. This is like their properties, except
I think it's his version of Disney for us.
oh yeah.
Is a better way to describe it.
But
But he's very knowledgeable about it and very interested in it. And he like says like, oh yeah, these are like what you're describing sounds like the guardian witches. There was this person, Lachifa, which is the minerals bloodline, Juno, who is the um water bloodline, and then there's Chloe,
Yeah.
the
true.
herbs bloodline, and then there was another bloodline, the heart bloodline, but as we saw at the beginning of the first episode, that was the witch that got uh killed. And they believe that Mima is actually the new person that's starting up that bloodline again, basically. But yes, and so they're trying to figure out what's going on, what happened to Aruna's magic, and so they're trying to find wild mugwort, which is a huge theme in this show because
I would then like to go on to Hocus. If you have not seen Hocus Pocus 2, watch it. But okay. I will also say this, Hocus Pocus 2 was a complete Walgreens ad. Okay. So they go into Walgreens, bright lights, pretty things, right?
have
That's
they
kind
ever
of
been to
how
Walgreens?
I was an assistant store manager there.
I know. But I'm talking about like the directors. Have they ever been into a Walgreens? I feel like whenever I walk into a Walgreens, it's like at like 3 a.m. Okay, maybe it's like 10 p.m. And I'm just like, I just need band-aids. Where are the band-aids? And the Walgreens employee is just like, they're over there. And points to a random direction. And I'm like, that's the door.
Wherever the pharmacy is, that's where they are. Okay, I could literally walk into any Walgreens though and know where something is, and it's great.
anyways, Sanderson sisters. 'Cause
Sanderson sisters. So they walk into the Walgreens and it's like bright lights, shiny things, and that's kind of how these girls are in the 21st century, like wandering off and they're like looking for this stuff and they're just like, wild mugwort. Ooh.
well, no. So
Oh,
they're trying to find the wild mugwort. Chloe, the herbs witch.
The other two are just
like
She-
looking around.
She tries to
Okay.
like use her magic and be like, yeah, where's the wild mugwort at? And like she's like talking to the trees and stuff, and she's like, they're like, there's none here. And someone goes past them and is like, go back to this
To this like,
to like this
neighborhood.
neighborhood. And it's supposed to be like this neighborhood that's supposed to be like the more rundown neighborhood where the descendants live.
The
and stuff.
descendants of these witches.
Yes.
Like the witch covenants?
The descendants of like the witches and stuff like
Yeah.
that, those bloodlines and everything. But so they're like, what the hell is that? And the phone, they still have Mima's phone, and it's like this, and they're like, oh, yeah, that would have the wild mugwort because there's this drink because they have Mima's bag. She just straight up left her bag.
I mean, I would
And-
too if a bunch of random women who apparently had like superpowers attacked me. I too would leave my bag
They
and my
didn't
phone.
attack her. They were just very intense with her.
Didn't she pass out?
No.
no.
Oh, never mind.
She just ran.
Yeah.
Well, she took her bike.
Yeah. But they found this juice in her bag that's supposed to be like wild mugwort juice. And like, oh, we can use this. And Chloe feels it and she's like, this has like no wild mugwort in it. Like it's missing all the stuff that's like makes wild mugwort
Yeah.
and everything. And so
And then they reach an herbal shop.
they reach that neighborhood. I don't remember what it's called. It's like the Margram
Can I
neighborhood.
add something real quick before we continue?
Yeah.
So this happened like like it's like a bounce back between 300 years ago and like the current time. I haven't touched the
You
mic.
keep getting close to the mic, so I'm just trying to make sure.
Um, but I am so surprised how these witches who are like when they are jumped 300 years, um, are like able to communicate with people of like their time. Because I guarantee you, if I was like sent back in time 300 years or sent forward 300 years, I'd be like, what the fudge? What the fudge?
Yeah, if someone came into our time from like the 1700s, they'd be like,
What is
What?
Riz?
yeah, like straight up, like even that sentence in itself, straight up, like what is the slang? Like
What is
what
the
are
technology? Like,
yeah.
I think
like they were like amused by the phone, but like I feel like there would have been more of like, oh my god, this is a satanic witchcraft. Like, oh my god, it's talking to me. It's listening. This isn't a book.
I don't think a lot of I don't think there's very many like movies or TV shows that have like such a large spans of time travel within it, so you would never really think about it. Because
Well,
you are right that like large spans of time travel like that, you would 100% expect there to be a language difference.
I was like the Indiana Jones movie that we watched in the theaters that had a significant time gaps, but that one was also kind of funny.
But like,
Yeah,
I'm there's like the yellow lights that they mentioned in the first episode, where it's like these lights are like able to help like us see light and stuff like that. And
help substitute for the sunlight. Yeah,
yeah, like why aren't the witches reacting to those weird lights?
if they see them, that's the thing.
But they
Like,
go into the city.
I mean, yeah,
They go into that one guy's house.
there's a lot that we don't know.
I'm
They're
saying.
to be fair, they're just in a high period. Everything's new to them, hun.
That's fair.
Um, but
There's
so
still
they got down to like some shop or whatever,
an
and
herb
that
shop, not that type of herb, but like
an actual like plant shop
But
down
from
in
the
like the
sounds of
market.
it of what they're looking for, it might be that type of herb.
But well, like we don't know the full details of like what makes wild mugwort so special.
Yeah, I was like, that then comes up to like this question, which is probably we're not going to find out until the next episode of what in the hell is this substance? Because it's illegal.
It's illegal for anyone else to
besides this
sell,
one company.
which is the same company that makes the juice that they tried to use earlier. They're the only ones allowed to grow it.
Oh my gosh,
for
what
some
is this
reason.
company called? Because I keep on calling it Lumex.
I think it's like aluminum.
Aluminum.
Oh, I thought it was aluminium.
Aluminium. Let's call it
It's not aluminium.
aluminium.
But no, I think it's aluminum. But something I want to know more about this herb
Sick.
because
like the reaction that the guy
yeah, so
shop gave was like, "How dare you ask
yeah,
about
so
this herb?"
You
yeah.
lost my customers for asking this. How dare you?
yeah, they asked if he sold any wild mugwort, and he blew up on them, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! What do you mean? What? Huh?"
And then
Ariel pulled a Jasmine. Or Ariel pulled an Aladdin saving Jasmine. Was like, "Oh my gosh, like
Aunties.
aunties, what are you doing? Oh, you have to pardon them. They're from the big city. They don't know what they're doing.
And so
They're from an insane asylum. Have you seen how they
and they're
dress?
like, it's the man from the phone.
The man from the talking box."
and so Ariel goes and takes the three guardian witches back to his house.
He's like, "I know who you are. Come with me." And
And
it sounds like getting kidnapped, but that's okay.
I was like, I would not trust that one bit. I'd
Listen,
be like,
I love Ariel. He's my favorite character, but like in any other
that's creepy.
stance, I would be like, "Excuse you?"
But this could also be a cultural thing.
well, you gotta also like look at it, like look at their perspective. This random guy's yelling at them, and they're like, "This dude actually seems chill and is being nice to us."
And we saw him on the phone.
And he knew like Lachifa's name. Like this episode very like much so focused on Lachifa. And so like he was like, "Yeah, I know who you are," and stuff. And so like they're like, "Okay, yeah, let's go." And he obviously didn't appear threatening. Ariel does not appear threatening in the slightest.
No.
Ariel gives off golden retriever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I say that as someone who also gives off golden retriever energy.
What energy do I give off? Because we went over this in the School of Business, and I was like, I
That
don't
is
know. Because I was like, I'm not a lion.
that is off topic.
Sorry. I'm now just curious. I'm like,
But,
I'm not a golden retriever, and I'm definitely not a lion.
yeah. But they go back to his house and he like tries to explain things to them. And they're like, no, we need wild mugwort. And he goes, okay, well then let's break into the place where it's kept.
So casually.
So
So
casual.
casually.
He goes, these people don't know what they're talking about. You guys are you guys are like the OGs. We trust you guys.
We should probably also stop talking about this storyline and get to the nomads.
We're getting there.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm like,
This if you remember, there's this group of descendants that are traveling that we talked about in the first episode. The episode goes back and forth talking about them, and they're two very separate storylines that have yet to converge really. So we're gonna touch on that in a little bit. But
Okay.
while this is going on, there's other stuff going on as well with those nomadic descendants as well.
And then they end with the young patrons.
Well, not 100%. So
Well, like,
Mima continuing with the young patrons and everything, and they end up doing this like debate where they're talking about well, it had to do with like the aluminum and
like
like the wild mug
should
wort
yeah.
juice versus like just the regular.
should Luminium have rights over this plant? Like, should they be the only ones who sell it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And Mima goes hard in defending that yeah they should and things like that, and ends up like winning that debate or whatever to try and qualify for the young patron thing.
And
And
she had like one of those like moments.
she had one of those shroom moments, if you remember, we referred to it like being on shrooms, where she like gets like this intense like empathetic feeling
yeah.
Oh,
where
that
she's like feeling the other people's emotions, like experiencing it.
okay, y'all. I just thought she was reading minds. I mean, like she is, but like I
It-
wasn't thinking of it as like an empath, like empathy moment. I was just thinking of it more like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden you can hear a bunch of people in your head, and that sucks.
Yeah, it's almost like psychedelic looking though, and she
It's still
had,
psychedelic.
and it's what made her sick at the end of the first episode.
Which she got bullied for in this episode of like, don't eat too much, you might.
Yeah,
As someone who had really bad morning sickness, my first trimester, I wanted to punch that woman's guts out so forking bad. I was like, y'all,
Mm.
you can't control that.
I mean, I just wanted to punch her because
She deserves a Carmone slap to the face.
but
deserves some Regina George.
BS.
but before like that debate and everything takes place, she's at Ariel's place and she runs to the witches again, and Lachifa's like, you can't just deny this. What like you end up denying your own heart, it's gonna
Like, basically rebel.
like it's gonna rebel and like let you know that something's wrong. And the more you like own it yourself and everything, then the more you'll be able to like basically control it and stuff.
Because
And
didn't they have like a moment in the beginning of the episode where like she was
She-
able to sense the magic?
she had another one of those psychedelic moments and was again looking at Lachifa, and she was able to see like Lachifa being like, what is wrong with this girl? What is this girl? Oh my gosh, is she like
She,
is she like have like feeling it for like that heart bloodline person
yeah.
and stuff, and that's what made her like snap out of it or whatever. But during this debate, she had another psychedelic moment. I'm just calling it psychedelic moments until we know what the hell to call it. Um, and she starts to be stressed about it, but then she takes a moment and remembers what the Chifa said about like denying your own heart and stuff, and like takes a deep breath and like
She does a star breath. Sorry.
and
Conscious discipline thing. If you know, you know. If you don't, you know.
learn.
Learn.
And like she's able to like come out of it and control it herself and continue on with the debate without throwing up or really seeming like anything's wrong. and stuff, which was a nice moment because right after that moment, the witches are trying to break into aluminum to get into to get to that spot where the wild mugwort is so they could have it.
I think it was like the most funny like break-in scene that I've ever seen because it's basically witch going woo, woo, ooh, security guards, splash water, splash, splash,
Yeah,
splash, splash.
yeah, they're using their magic to like sneak their way through the building and everything, and it's funny because yeah, they Juno distracted the security guards with the water fountain, like was splashing them with water, and it was hilarious. And then Lachifa, like the cameras, because Lachifa is like the minerals person,
Mhm.
which means metals. She can control metals, and so she would just move the camera, conveniently made of metal. Like, nope, you're not gonna look at us.
I remember watching this with Sean yesterday and being like, oh, what you don't see is her at every 3 steps going whoosh to every camera and then being like, whoops, we're in that one's line of sight and make it back. But I'm imagining Ariel being like, this is what a camera looks like. This is how you know it's like looking at you. This is how you know it's not. Because how are they supposed to know? Otherwise, I'm imagining him being like, okay, guys, Mission Impossible breakdown mode.
Right? Like spark notes of Mission Impossible.
Oh my gosh, but I think it's so funny because like these like 3 women who are still like dressed to the nines. They don't look like they fit in. Like with like these two like this company is supposed to be like super like the high tech like
do
Juice
do
makers.
do.
and but like there's like 2 security guards that get like splashed and they're like, oh my god, I can't do anything. And then like the one security camera that's just it's moved aside, like
But
persuaded gently.
but they end up getting though at least some wild mugwort, and the alarm systems are starting to go off.
And I'm surprised that like none of them could like, you know, do anything about it. Like, oh no, I'm using my powers to just cut.
They're all their powers are all natural related. They're able to move the cameras because it's made of metal,
But you know what's also made of metal?
not electricity.
I was gonna say like everything's surrounded by electricity.
See, I was kind of like looking at the doors, and she's just like, it's just like,
She looks like me when I'm going against one of those like automatic doors where I'm just like when I'm feeling a little spicy that day where I'm just like open and everyone's like, well, yeah, that's an automatic door.
that's what I was just like, bruh, like it's going to do that.
Whether you do the hand movements or not.
Wall.
It's like, guys, guess what? I'm a bender. No, you're not, May.
But
It's like when you're in the shower and then like you have water dripping down like your back, and then you hold your hand out and you're just like, I can spray water.
I'm a waterbender.
but like so the alarm is going off and they are like trying to run out of the building and everything, and they try to lift up this gate that is electrified, which again, it's made of metal, so like I can move it, and Lachifa gets electrocuted because it's electrical, which is odd to me that
She's
she got
dumb dumb.
electrocuted through the magic and all that jazz. But Mima shows up on the other side of the
She's like,
gate,
what you doing?
and that kind of is where the episode leaves off. However, the B storyline, the
nomadic tribe.
the nomadic descendants.
Okay, y'all. This
It-
is when I get serious. I watched the first and the second episode back to back, and I looked at Sean and I was like, okay, I like nomads. They always have really interesting storylines. What the fuck?
Well, so in the first episode, you see that like they're trying to get to a spot where they can have more of like the food stores and stuff. Like they have the wild mugwort, which they say like hasn't they have enough to last them like another month or whatever, and they end up setting up camp. But at the beginning of the second episode, you see that someone came and was beating it, like 2 people were like beating up one of the descendants and destroyed whatever they had for wild mugwort. And their leader is very adamant about keeping the old traditions. Like, we don't use this aluminum juice, whatever it is. We keep our traditions alive for Aruna and everything. And people are starting, one person starting to question him.
His like sister.
Yeah, I think it's his sister. His
No,
sister's
not.
Hera.
Oh,
His sister Hera was questioning him.
Oh, I'm thinking Helena.
And ends up they end up calling for a vote to change leaders for the uh, group, I guess.
Yeah, the tribe.
Yeah,
The
and
tribe has spoken.
they end up voting for the sister and everything to be the new leader. And the old leader, Akashi, I think is his
Kashi.
name, he ends up leaving after he deems her to be the lead, like passes the leadership over to her.
And then isn't it Hera's son also leaves?
Yeah, I think Hera's son like leaves and follows after Akashi as well. But that's about the extent that really happens with them because um they're just trying to figure out how to live in like the eclipse. There's an eclipse coming up that they're like all really hopeful for. I don't know what that has to do with it. Again, like the two storylines haven't really converged yet at all.
They'll
So
probably converge at that eclipse.
probably
I just relate to the pregnant woman. It doesn't matter.
they're
It's
just
like, oh, that's me right there.
you can just tell that they're getting tired of being nomadic, and it's again in this world it's really hard on this world's really harsh on the descendants for some reason. Like there's a strong prejudice against them. It's almost like the anti-witch ideals are still alive even after 300 years because they don't allow anyone to have wild mugwort for some reason. They're looking for a scientific solution to solve the solar crisis because they're in this penumbra, which is a decrease in sunlight during the day. So there's straight up times in the day where the sunlight itself will go away and like the show turns black and white until they turn on these like sun lamps and everything to kind of like replace it.
Your vitamin D lamp, so you don't get into
Yeah.
this seasonal.
But
like,
the whole idea is that they're trying to come up with a way to basically not need sunlight, which is stupid to begin with. And it's like, you know what you did wrong to cause this, you
Well,
know?
like, do they though?
They know about the witch customs.
I
That's
mean,
never been forgotten.
I
They
mean,
just think it's wrong or stupid or old wise tale.
yes, but like, also, you have to think about it this way. Like, I doubt that's just like Rio de Janeiro. That's like the only one experiencing it, right? Because if like the sun
Well,
goes off, like it's gonna be that way for
It's
the whole world. So
it's
like,
it's just like how in Avengers, the only time something bad happens is in New York.
right? But like, it doesn't mean the rest of the world isn't still impacted. It's not like someone in Alaska is not like, being like, where does the guys? Where does the sun go?
I was like, 'cause doesn't Alaska have like
Yeah.
not a lot of sunlight or too much sunlight?
Fun fact: I went to Iceland during the summer, and they have that thing where they have too much sunlight, and so the my family and I were having dinner at like 10 o'clock at night, but it looked like noon, and so our waitress went home, and we were like, "Where did she go?" And one of the people were like, the other waitress who came to serve us was like, "Oh yeah, she went home. It's like past her curfew because she was like a minor or whatever." And my family was like, "What? What time is it?" And they're like, "Oh, it's like going on 10:30." But like
You wouldn't notice.
wouldn't notice. So it's really trippy. Um,
But
I was like, I already start to freak out now that like it's been longer sun that like I wake up at like 5 and it's like already getting sunny and I'm just like,
right?
what?
so
Me
like
too.
I don't know. Imagine other parts of the world that are like I don't know what's happening,
Hmm.
and like other parts of the world, like I'm just thinking as an American, where we're not near Janeiro or like France or whatever, where they didn't do anything wrong, and like they're losing sunlight too. So it's like just this one group of people who have to atone for the rest of the world. Like they did the wrong, and now the rest of the world has to suffer for it.
Yep.
I mean, I also am speaking as an American who is fucked up. Like my country has fucked up a bunch of things for a bunch of like different people across the world, and like I have to deal with that. But it's really interesting that this show is taking that on. We only get to see the local point of view.
Yeah, but there's no way to show the global point of view. Like that's impossible.
I mean, yeah,
But you know,
it's just something fun to think about.
but
Fun, depending on what you're.
you know, the show I'm happy with how this episode like progress after all the questions me and Jonelle had after the first episode because it was hard to figure out just on the first episode alone.
Pilot episodes, though, are generally like that.
Yeah, but it was nice seeing like how they answered a lot more of our questions leading into the second episode and everything.
My question is, who is Aruna?
Aruna literally means like sunlight. So think of like entangled, how like a drop of sun came and made the flower.
I thought Aruna was
It's
a person
no.
this whole time. I
Aru-
was like,
It's okay.
fucked up.
Aruna's magic is literally like the magic of the sun.
Okay, well, that makes way more sense. I thought Aruna was this person this entire time, and I was like, oh, when are we gonna meet Aruna? Nope, Aruna's just the sun.
When are you gonna meet the sun, Meg?
Every day, my dear.
But that's why like they're in this situation with the sunlight though, because Aruna's magic is gone.
Could you imagine just the sun going out? That's terrifying. We would all die. Like the scientific responses, we would all die.
Do you ever watch those like what if videos and they go over like the scenarios of like what if the moon was just up and gone and
Mm.
I don't watch those because otherwise those become giant fears.
yeah, no, that's very fair. They always lead into giant fears for
Yep.
me too. But yeah, that just made me think of that. I was just like, oh, man, what if the sun was gone? And I'm like, well, I guess it would turn into a supernova and then we'd be dead.
I would never get to be able to meet my baby.
Out of the three guardian witches, like which one's like your favorite?
Oh,
Mhm. It's still too early.
I was gonna say, like,
Now, theoretically, is it Joe?
Juno?
Yeah,
I was gonna
because
say,
generally I like water.
she's such a ditz to me. She's just like, ooh, speckle water. And then you have like the hippie, where it's just like, yes, trees, tell me everything.
I was like, but realistically, like based off of vibes, I love the hippie.
Oh my
But
gosh.
magic wise, I like the water.
But then I have a lot of feelings about Latifa. Like, she feels like she's such a strong leader for the other two, but it also feels like she's just entirely freaking out on the inside and doesn't know what to do, which I relate to on a day-to-day basis. But I
I
also feel like she's overpowered.
well, to be fair, these are the guardian witches.
I mean, yeah, but
So
like,
like they're like the heads of the clan.
okay, but like, she could literally move a camera, which has how much percent of like metal?
One of them is literally plants. That means any tree there she can control.
Yeah, but we've only seen her talk to plants and then like use vines that one time.
I mean, that's true.
And then we only saw the other one like splash a guard with water.
Yeah, but we have to give credit. Like this episode, very much so like centered on Lachifa. Out of the
Yeah,
three.
I agree with Jonelle. I think it's too soon to tell. Which one would I want to have the powers of is another question. I would want to have the plant-based one because I assume that all trees are such gossipers. I want to know all the juicy gossip.
I want to be a waterbender.
I agree. I would want the water,
That'd be so cool.
but I won't.
Wonder if they can bloodbend.
I still think that I personally don't think it is too early. I mean, yeah, we don't know a lot about them historically, but I think the like based off of what we saw in the episode where we actually got to see them, their personalities are gonna be their personalities. And I'm not a fan of Chloe, the herb one. She's too standoffish. She seems very strict and cold. Whereas I love Juno because she is ditzy and it makes me laugh so much. But I can tell that Chifa has a lot more heart to her. It's almost as if she was like really close with the lost guardian, with the guardian that did die.
Let's talk about the guardian that we did see.
We
We did see the fourth one in this episode.
didn't.
Yeah, because she was doing a ritual, and then we see. Okay, this is what we see. We see a witch. We don't know her name, but she's doing the ritual, and there's like another lady who takes from like a ladle and drinks.
That
some
was
potion.
Lachifa.
Oh, sorry, y'all. I'm really bad with names of faces. Like really bad.
We haven't yet to see the heart
Oh,
bloodline
my
guardian.
bad. I thought they were the same person. I'm really bad with names and faces. I'm sorry.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the heart bloodline would be the worst one to have, to be honest.
Like
I don't know. I'm thinking, what anime has bloodbenders?
Avatar?
No, Avatar doesn't have bloodbenders.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, because Katara learns how to bloodbend.
From Hama in the 3rd season.
Well, there's like also a different anime that
Legend of Korra also has bloodbenders.
well, that's part of Avatar, but there's a different anime that is not related to Avatar that has bloodbenders, and it's oh my god, what is the name of it? Because there's metal benders, and then Full Metal Alchemist. I believe.
That's it.
Yes. Anyways,
I've never seen
that is like so intense.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
they just go like, and then the blood, the blood inside like starts bubbling, and then they explode.
Oh, Babby doesn't like talking about this. Babby has been kicking a lot recently, and Jonelle starts describing blood banding, and Babby was like, no, 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 no.
Either that or Bravy's like, keep it going.
Babby also doesn't like car rides. Whenever we're driving in the car and I'm driving to work, Babby's just like, dull. Oh.
but no. I'm excited to see like what this show like has in store for us.
I want to know the relationship between Ariel and the different witches.
Mhm.
Because he's like, you can stay in my room as long as you want. And I'm like, to a bunch of random women?
That are super old.
Here's the thing.
I mean, like, they are, but they aren't.
Here's the thing. He's like he's an innocent puppy.
Yes, like, I
And
love Ariel. He's my favorite character.
like he's trying to show these
Compassion.
300-year-old witches like hospitality, which is not a bad thing. He knows that they're gonna be seen as illegal,
Like,
hardcore,
No.
and persecuted.
I mean, yes, I love them. I just want to see, like, the bromance. The, like, not bromance is not the word that I'm thinking about, but, like, it's so interesting to have the dynamic of, like, golden retriever human being like, witches, let me show you the world. Let me show you how to not get arrested. A whole new world.
No copyright here. I'm not about to get copyrighted.
But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be a really interesting dynamic for him to be like, this is the world you now live in. These are the rules you have to like, not necessarily play by, but that you have to like be aware of.
Mhm.
Like, on this one company has the route you want, or like has the plant. What are you going to do about it? Oh,
But
this.
he's a clear ally at least. Like he's trying to help them
Oh yeah.
versus like, oh yeah, I support you, but I'm not gonna help you in any way, shape, or form. Good luck. See you in jail. I hope you die. It doesn't happen to you.
I'm just excited for like the friendship and like the adventures
Mhm.
and like the mentor student relationship, because it is very much like a, hey, let me mentor you in this world that you now find yourself in, and let my best friend might be one of your people, and I'm sorry.
I do have to say this show does give me Winx Club vibes.
Very much Winx Club, but also we learned that
Mima is adopted.
Mima's adopted this episode. Okay, so let's talk about adoption real quick. Just real quick.
Okay.
So I'm adopted, but on the wiki. We don't have a wiki.
Once again, too close.
Sorry. I keep having this impulsive thought where I just want to eat it, like Meg Wazowski does.
She's not used to the mics.
I'm not. This is my first episode with it. Sorry, y'all. I just want to eat it. So I keep getting closer. I'm like, I'm gonna eat it, but I won't. But what was I saying? Oh, usually when we're watching TV shows, Sean will like watch ahead just in case there's anything that's triggering. So he could be like, by the way, Megan, we shouldn't watch this episode. Why? Because XYZ reasons. So when we found out, Sean's like, we were watching like episode 2, he was like, I also I don't know if Mima's adopted. And then literally the mom was like, and this, and I adopted you, and this was my legacy as a teen. And I was like, oh, well.
And then I just sat there going, I'm sorry.
If you're wondering, I did not get triggered this episode. It was fine.
It seems like it's just such a minor point in the show.
Because it only really bothers me when like the child's having like an existential crisis. about like who their parents are because same. But it was more like Mima being like, "Aw, my parents love me." Like
Mhm.
I just am so happy to be a part of it. And I think it was really interesting the conversation between her and Ariel, where Ariel was like, "But this could be like talking about the witches being like this could be like your origin story, this could be your legacy." She's like, "I don't want it to be my legacy, I want it to be like the people who adopted me."
But they keep calling her into question of, are you living your dream or your parents'
And
dream?
I think that's
Which
so
is
interesting.
because it's a common thing for teens, for parents to push what they didn't have on their teens or like what they wanted to do with their life onto their children. And it's clear that that is happening because Mima's mom was a candidate to be the the female young patron because they do a male and a female, and she goes, I didn't get to be it, but now you can."
I mean, yeah,
And they kind of shoved it onto her, and yeah, she's going for it and everything,
but she seems
and
happy.
she may want it, and that's okay. But they're like, but whenever she talks about it, it's always in reference to her parents, not something that she wants.
I think it's also very interesting because we're Americans watching the show.
Hmm.
I don't think you can tell, by the way. Surprise, we're from Canada. I'm kidding. No, we're from America. And I mean, we're an individualistic like
Yep.
society, so we're like, yeah, everyone gets their own goals, but I don't know how it works where she lives. And so like
A lot of the Latin countries, so Central America and South America, it is very family based.
so
Very, very close with families and traditions.
so like I feel like in America it would have been a different question. I feel like there it's a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm. It
Like
is.
I don't know, it's a different cultural question.
But I guess we'll find out more in the third episode as we watch this for the first time. Yeah,
Oh, my bad, sorry.
it's that time. So
Yeah, it's almost bedtime.
yes.
Sorry.
I've been over here yawning. I can tell when it's like bedtime for me because my brain's just like,
Me
we
too.
need to take our meds and we need to go to sleep.
You see, at this time of night, I get really awake because baby starts kicking.
Yeah.
And baby's like, "Hello, let's play." And I'm like,
But anyways, you know, check out the last episode on the first episode if for some reason you're watching this far and have no idea what we're talking about. And check out our other episodes. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, check out our Patreon,
and
all
send
the
me
things.
pictures of your animals.
Continue to send her pictures of your animals.
And if you have any spiders or creepy crawlies, please in your like captions or whatever, just say Megan's eyes only.
But other than that, bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.